Hey everybody, welcome back to Absolutely Marvel in DC. I'm Dylan, that's Dan, and that's Hassan. And today, we're going to be talking about Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Now, a quick little if you're not in the know, these like Star Watch, Bat Watch type of videos where we go back and watch old movies. Usually one of us hasn't seen it before. In this case, that's Hassan. Hassan has not seen Attack of the Clones before. So, quick thoughts, Hassan?
Quick thoughts. Oh my God, what a film. What an incredible cinematic experience. It was funny. Ewan McGregor is fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Dude.
Even though he's got so much hair. Just quick pause. He's got so much hair in that one, right?
Does.
Like he's got like a hair helmet.
He gets even more hair next episode.
He does.
He never cuts it.
You know, I don't love a lot of the creepiness in this movie. Because
it's terrifying.
Okay, Anakin is terrifying.
Not in a good way.
And it's like when I think of the amount of people that had to sign off on him staring at her, which fine, okay? Because if she likes it, it's okay, I guess. I don't know. And then they wrote in the line, "Stop it. You're making me uncomfortable."
Stop it. Padme constantly tells Anakin to knock it off, and Anakin is like, no.
You can tell the fact that it's a 19-year-old kid that's practiced celibacy his entire life, created this entire imaginary goddess in his mind of this lady that he met once.
Oh, she's really
and like yeah,
no, it sucked. I liked it honestly kind of better than the last one. The last one felt really boring to me. Like, it just not a lot happens in it. I like Obi-Wan so much more than Qui-Gon Jinn. So the fact that Qui-Gon's not in this movie is a big 100%. Bonus to me. And Obi, like, God, Ewan McGregor's so charismatic on screen. He's so like instantly likable that it's like if Hayden Christensen, maybe he does now because I haven't seen Obi-Wan yet, has just like a little pinch of charisma, maybe this movie would have been 1,000 times better. He's given shit to work with, so that's not fair for him.
Yeah, that's the thing about this movie is like it's a tale as old as time with this movie. Is everybody like in its heyday where people like the prequels now. One of the things that's excused about this movie is that it's the writing is not like you can't you can't say that Hayden Christensen is a bad actor because what he was given was dog shit.
Yeah, I feel. Yeah, in that regard, not just the writing, but the directing, because I feel like there are some times
George Lucas
where
is asleep. He's not doing anything.
Yeah. But with Anakin, you could kind of see sometimes in the creepiness parts where at least I personally got this vibe of like he did something and was doing something fine, but then the director was like, no, like you're an awkward kid that's never done this before, like reel it back. And you could kind of see like that weird like, how am I supposed to do this? And I think that's where some of like the extra creepiness came from, because you kind of see this like,
I hate Sid.
I think I heard that like,
I'm attracted to you.
You know, don't be too harsh on this. It's Hayden Christensen's first time acting. It looks like this is his first time on Earth. This is his first time ever trying to be a human being.
Like the things he's saying are not things people say. Like
he's in a universe where he was a slave, then got kidnapped and was a religious zealot, and now he's experiencing love for the first time.
Now he's real horny.
I think Jedis are so lame.
Yeah, they suck,
I
right?
think they are so lame. I thought a Jedi could take out an army of droid. I watched droids kill an army of Jedis until there were 6 guys
400
left.
400 Jedi. The droids should be dead in 2 seconds. Why do they need an army of clones?
Am I confused? Like, okay, how come none of the other Jedi
speed?
They just like flail around their lightsabers, but they don't use the Force.
Yeah, no, they're not doing anything. It's because this entire let's talk about this real quick. This entire movie is shot on blue screen. Even just like I'm sure there's some sets, but like the cinematography in this movie is so static and weird.
Obi-Wan in the rain in that place that you can use as a map in Blade and Sorcery. I don't know if you guys ever played that. I think it's Kamino. Yeah, it looks incredible. Kamino looked really like cool. The outside platform. I was like actually raining that day that they were filming. It looks perfection. It doesn't look fake at all.
Well, they just probably had a rain machine. That was all blue screen though. It always.
Guys, it's supposed to be raining today. Come on, get the equipment.
Get the buckets. Let's go.
Oh man, but yeah, other than that, it looked insane.
Yeah, I don't. like even the because to me, like, the CG is slightly excusable because it's so old, and these were some of the first movies that were trying the completely digital production route. But the problem with that is because it's so archaic, they didn't have robots back, like they didn't have camera robots so they could perfectly match move shots back then. They didn't have, and even if they did, it was still early and like it wasn't easy to do.
Right.
Like they didn't have like circle rooms like we have now on The Mandalorian and the Batman and stuff like that. So it's all digital and it's all early, and the CG, like, whatever. The CG looks bad, but the cinematography, where like everyone is just standing still and almost the entire movie is shot reverse shot, with the exception of the action scenes, is just so boring to look at and so strange. Nobody looks like they're anywhere real.
I agree. I think I had fun with this movie. I watched it with a group of 6 friends, and they'd all...
That's the ideal way.
Yeah, they grew up Star Wars fans, so like we were laughing the whole time, having a good time. I got one friend that was like, "This is my favorite line," and would just like quote it right before it happens, and it was really funny. So that it made it a fun experience. So some people have told me like this is the most fun movie to watch out of all the Star Wars franchise because it sucks, because it is the worst one.
Yeah.
I read the comments on the last video, and some people writing us theological essays on Star Wars and explaining the life and death of the universe there. Hats off to you guys. But like, I'm coming from just like a strictly like a viewer who likes television, movies, and entertainment. I have no real investment in the lore of Star Wars. I liked Clone Wars as a kid, but it was so much as a kid. All I remember is Anakin have cool hair, lightsaber, like that's it. That's as much as I remember about it. And, you know, these movies, they suck. I think Revenge of the Sith is probably going to be good, but the 2 movies that I've seen, I wouldn't watch them again unless it were like with a big group of friends to like laugh about it, which that was fine. I don't think I would have made it through if it wasn't for that. Padme, like Natalie Portman is actually doing great. Every time she gets to speak,
she's fantastic. You can tell why there was such a big generation of people that had a crush on Natalie Portman because of this.
She was, I think, so good.
She's very pretty.
And every line delivery, I think it made Hayden Christensen more off-putting because she sounds so much like a person. She'd be like, well, why do you do that? And he's like, because the Jedi Order wanted me to. It's like,
Obi-Wan saw me doing this, he would kill me.
Obi-Wan doesn't believe in me. Why is
this? You should. Here's a fun thing. If you ever want to look at some really funny CG, the scene where they're doing the pear, where Anakin's cutting the pear while using the Force.
Yes.
If you zoom in on Padme's face when the slice of the pear goes into her mouth, it just like slides in there. Like it's not. It just like she's not putting it on the face. It just goes. Whoop. It's so funny looking. The CG in this movie is ridiculous. But yeah, Padme, like, Natalie Portman is a good actor. And
she's fantastic.
I haven't seen Hayden Christensen in, like, really anything else aside from, I guess, Obi-Wan.
You guys ever watch the movie Jump? Early 2000s action movie? Starring him and Samuel Jackson?
Yeah.
He's not in a lot of stuff, man. He was in that movie.
I know he's in like a rom-com that people say that he's a lot better in.
With Emma Roberts about pizza, and it's incredible. It's a ride.
No, not that. There's a different one.
That one is incredible.
There's like a serious drama that he's in that's like that I've heard he's good in. But sort of like a Robert Pattinson like renaissance for Hayden Christensen. But
interesting.
I don't like Natalie Portman. I've seen in plenty of things, and she's great. And she's definitely taking the stuff that George Lucas and Jonathan Hales gave her, and is like, okay, I'll do my best. And
there's no way George Lucas likes these movies, right? There's no way that he watches like, that's exactly what I wanted to see.
There's this really funny scene that goes around a lot when people talk about the prequels, where like it's footage of him in the theater where they've done the first screening of, I think, Attack of the Clones. And he's sitting in the theater, and the credits stop rolling, and it goes dead quiet. And no one's talking, because no one wants to say anything, because George Lucas is in the room, and they all hated the movie. And George Lucas is just sitting there, and he goes, I think we may have gone a little bit too far in certain places. And then they shipped the movie. So no, I don't think George Lucas likes these movies.
Okay, good. That's good to know. Honestly, like, there's a lot to love if you were young watching this. I imagine as a kid, this is an incredible film. start to finish, right? Really, really
these as a kid.
pretty girl, and like, oh my god, he's 10 years older.
got laser
I'm a 10.
swords.
I'm older now. Like, I technically I'm 12 instead of 10, but whatever. This makes more sense for me. And oh my god, Obi-Wan's so cool. Look at the way they're cutting lightsabers in half. Oh my god, he's got 2 lightsabers. Whoa, he's got 2. Oh my god, he lost his hand. Like, it's awesome. Like, as a kid, that's awesome. That's awesome, and I like that they did the Empire Strikes Back move of you gotta lose in hand in the second movie. That's like. It's funny in Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to pay homage to that in what is it, all of MCU Phase 2.
Yeah, it's like
somebody
most of
loses a hand
MCU
in
Phase
everything.
2.
And then I remember in Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in Season 2, Phil Coulson gets his hand cut off. And like they kept it up through all that just to pay homage to Empire. So it's cool that they did that. I actually didn't know Anakin had a robot arm. I somehow fucking missed that. I'm an idiot. So I was like, God damn, that didn't just happen. Somebody put that thing on ice. They're like, Hudson, it's cauterized. They used a lightsaber.
Dooku
I was like,
cuts it right off. Speaking of that scene, do we want to talk about the Yoda in the room? Because this is the first time Yoda goes sicko mode. I know that's polarizing.
I honestly love watching Yoda with the lightsaber.
Some people love it. Some people hate it.
Bro,
I hate it.
He's faking. That was what I said. As soon as he was done fighting and he grabs his cane, he starts flipping it. I was like, you're faking, dude. You're full of shit. I saw you just do all that stuff. You're full of crap.
Dan, what do you love about Yoda flipping around?
Oh.
I just love it because it's one of those classic. Everyone has made comments like earlier on in the show of like, oh, I'm a better lightsaber than Yoda. Like, oh, I'm much stronger than Yoda. And this is one of those moments where it's like, okay, like, yes, that's him in a normal state. But this is what he's capable of and why he's on the Jedi Council and why he's considered one of the most powerful Jedi. Like, I just love it. And I like the fact that because he's small, the way that they have him fight makes it more impressive and makes it very clear that, like, this guy understands his size and the advantages that he does have of being able to jump around and use his surroundings better. I mean, obviously, if this was a little more realistic, I think Yoda would have just completely decapitated Dooku like within a couple seconds.
Right away.
But they needed the scene to last longer as well as have Dooku survive. But I love it. I really enjoy it, but I'm also the guy that really enjoys smaller characters in like video games and stuff, and like especially when they're holding like massive weapons and stuff. I always love that kind of thing. Maybe it stemmed from Yoda, but you know what? You never know. Chicken before the egg. Who knows?
My opinion is definitely the opposite. I just think that Yoda's whole character is he's like the wise guy. Like, I think he's more in tune with the Force. He's like the reason he's on the council is because, and it's actually, I didn't remember this. Dooku and Yoda have like a force off before they do lightsabers, and then they're like, oh, we're evenly matched, blah, blah, blah. And I thought that was cool. I didn't remember that. That was kind of a neat thing. I mean, we don't really see the Force being used for much. Usually it's straight to lightsabers. So I thought that was neat. But my problem with especially this fight scene in particular, I don't mind Yoda using his lightsaber, but like he jumps around, and really I feel like if you analyze this fight, he doesn't need to be jumping around as much as he does.
Oh no, that is agreed upon, because if he was properly jumping, I think he could have ended that fight a lot faster.
Even not ending it, just like making it more interesting from a choreography standpoint. Like, I know the reason why it's like that is because they didn't plan it. Like, it's just is like two animators who were like, okay, Christopher Lee's just doing this on set. Now we have to make Yoda like match that, and then do that for 4 months.
That's so upsetting. I didn't even think of that being the filming process, but that's probably exactly what it was. Oh man.
Yeah, no one cared. They were just because this is the point where George Lucas is George fucking Lucas, and no one's gonna tell him no or tell him what he can and can't do. He's like, somebody said in chat earlier that he had problems filming in the desert in A New Hope, so he never wanted to do that again. So yeah, he's just gonna sit and film on. Yeah, he hates sand. He's just gonna sit and film on blue screen for everything,
coarse, and it gets everywhere.
He's going to pay people to do everything else for him. And that's why these movies lack emotion and heart and anything interesting.
All that said, Obi-Wan, best part. I love him.
Yeah.
He's great. I'm very.
He's the best part of these three movies.
For those of you who don't know, I'm not watching the Obi-Wan series until we're done with this, so until Revenge of the Sith at least. That way I can really, really have the nostalgia. Everyone else likes Obi-Wan because they also like the thing, and then I'll hop in on those episode reviews too. But I love Ewan McGregor. Like, I want more of him, and I recently saw this thing where this woman who's in charge of Star Wars, I don't know what her name is, but she said
Kathleen Kennedy.
or maybe she's in charge of Disney,
Probably.
yeah, who said Han Solo failed because we recast it. We can't recast the iconic Han Solo, and that's why that movie didn't work. If I remember correctly, Han Solo came out 6 months after a Star Wars movie that was poorly received, and it was the closest release between Star Wars movies ever, and then 30 days after Avengers Infinity War release, which we can all agree was like box office phenomena. So like that's why that didn't work, because when you think about it, Ewan McGregor, he's an Obi-Wan recast, and he's incredible. Right. He is the character through and through. Like, put him in old man makeup and no, actually, I'm not gonna say reshoot the Allen Guinness scenes. I feel like that is, I'm gonna get so much hate for that. But that's terrible. But also, he's great. I'm not saying to do that. Dan's like just the hypothetical of me almost saying it.
Dan and I know things.
Yeah, that plus the funny thing though, I'm pretty sure Ewan McGregor is the same age that Alec McGuinness was.
No way. Alec Guinness is a dinosaur in A New Hope.
Let me blow your minds for a second.
I'm pretty sure Ewan McGregor just ages very well.
Bro, Palpatine in these movies is 57. He's only 77 in the real world. Dude, whatever that dude's eating, don't eat it. He is aging with the opposite of grace. The man looks 1,000 years old. I thought he would be a withered away skeleton by now.
Bro, Alec Guinness was 58 in A New Hope? That's ridiculous. He looks 80 years old.
They were not. He was not taking care of himself. Oh my god.
Like the guy was. Okay, so I will say, yeah, he's 51.
They're 7 years
right
apart.
So close.
That's absurd. That's crazy.
Wow. So here's one thing that I wanted to say plot-wise that I actually did not get until I was watching this in a more analytical way. And it's probably going to be you guys going, obviously, that's what's going on. Whenever they did like the Clone War, like the clones, the clone army, when all of that happened, for the longest time, I always thought it was like, oh, this has been the Emperor's plan just behind the scenes the entire time, right? It wasn't until this watch through that I realized all the dates, all of these things started literally when Palpatine met Anakin. It was 10 years ago when Palpatine finally meets Anakin that we get the Clone War, the clones start getting created, because that happened 10 years ago. Because they constantly make the comment of
they say
10 years ago and that it's been 10 years.
Right.
And it lines up incredibly well, because if you also like keep paying attention, you can tell the role that Palpatine has had as kind of a mentor for Anakin in the things that he says, the fact that he does kind of lean a bit more towards the dictatorship and stuff like that, and why he does trust Palpatine as much as he does, because Palpatine was an adult figure that was closely connected to basically the woman of his dreams, and all of the different things, they all line up to the 10 years that it has been between them, because they constantly say 10 years that this has happened. And you can kind of tell also, like, there's just a lot of things. Now, maybe I'm reading more into it, but I'm pretty sure that this was kind of like Qui-Gon felt like he was like an incredibly important Jedi, strong with the Force and stuff. And I think Palpatine felt the same and was like, this is when I finally start moving my plan into place. Because so many of the different things line up time-wise to Anakin in the first movie and Anakin in this movie and all the other ones. Because at first, like the previous times, I'm like, oh, okay, like it just makes sense. It's been a long time. He's been doing this thing on the side. It was the fact that everyone kept saying 10 years.
Right.
Everything was 10 years on both sides. Like Anakin has been here for 10 years, been training with the Jedis for 10 years. all of the stuff with the clones, with the old Jedi that was on the council that got killed, who originally put in the order for the clones. Like, all of these things line up with Anakin being discovered. And I thought that if that is the situation, I think that's really cool that behind the scenes, even the Emperor finally was like, okay, now it's time to take advantage of this situation.
I think we just don't know enough about, like, in current canon, we don't know enough about what Palpatine was up to before Phantom Menace. Because, like, these movies, like, the plots of these movies are Palpatine is, like, things are happening that are leading towards Palpatine becoming the Emperor and Anakin turning into Vader. And I don't, like, there's a, like, I guess Rise of Skywalker gives us some canon stuff about Palpatine before this, but I don't really want to talk about that.
We won't talk about Rise of Skywalker.
Because I know there is also there's a big fan theory that, because Shmi, Anakin's mama, there's no dad, and there's a lot of theories that, like, Palpatine's the dad through, like, Force magic.
That's what they call it these days.
And that's,
I
like,
have
that's,
heard
that's
like a
how
baby
he
of
knew,
the Force kind of thing. I've heard that theory.
That's how he knew to, like, to set things in motion, like you were saying, to, like, perfectly have the clone army start when Anakin is 9, so he can grow up to eventually lead it.
Right.
So that would make sense.
I learned during this watch through by a friend saying that there's only ever 2 Sith Lords.
Yes.
Do you guys
No.
There's people who use the dark side of the Force, but there's 2, like the Sith Master and the Sith Little One.
There's a rule of 2s with Sith, but that's not that there's only 2 Sith Lords ever. It's that there is usually the rule basically is that you're a Sith Lord and you have an apprentice, and eventually the apprentice will kill that Sith Lord. That doesn't mean that there's only 2 ever. It's just we happen to only see those 2. Like, there's another, like, we have Count Dooku, we have Sidious, we have Asajj Ventress. There's a lot more Sith in the background.
So I was told that they use the dark side of the Force, but they're not Sith.
2 in a pair, yeah.
It's always 2 in a pair in the sense of, if there's a master, the master will always have an apprentice. And if there's an apprentice, they will always have a master.
And are there people who use the dark side of the Force that aren't considered Sith? Because that's what I was told. That, like, Count Dooku isn't... Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
You could say that.
In the expanded universe especially. But, like, I think the in these movies, in the original trilogy, and even in the sequels, they don't really touch on Force sensitives outside of the Jedi and the Sith. But if you play, like, Fallen Order or watch the Clone Wars, one group of Force sensitives that's talked about a lot and shown are the Night Sisters, who aren't Jedi or Sith. They don't really deal in the light side or the dark side. They just use the Force in different ways.
I think technically the Knights of Ren aren't
like Jedi or
Sith.
Yeah, they're like a whole thing,
sure
but that was underdeveloped. So
yeah, like, because we got that. We've also got in Rogue One, there's the Force sensitive.
The, like, blind guy.
I don't think he's the one that just is, like, believes in the Force.
He's not a Jedi.
Don't forget in what is it? Return of the Jedi. I think it's Return of the Jedi, right? With Luke Skywalker. No, that's Return. What's the second? What's the second one of the new movies?
Last Jedi?
The one that no one remembers.
The Last Jedi. There's a little kid at the end who does this. Stop. There's a little kid at the end who does this, and a broom ends up in his hand. Force sensitive?
Yeah, and then that goes nowhere. I mean, there's definitely Force sensitives that, like, in the expanded universe, like, before Disney, there's, like, they talk about in books that there's animals that are Force sensitive. Like, they're obviously not Jedi, but, like, those, I think that, like, Cat Freak in bringing it back to Attack of the Clones, the thing that what is it? I think it's Padme's monster in that scene. I think that species is Force sensitive. I could be totally wrong on that, but and also that's dead canon, so it's not real anyway. But yeah, there's Force sensitives are very interesting.
It is.
What the hell was that?
What? No, I was thinking about the Force. That's all. But yeah, the Force is so interesting because I was told it was such a, like, well thought out thing. I don't know why. Just as a kid, I was told that
it's not.
The Force is like, yeah, it does, and that's fine. It's a MacGuffin. It doesn't. It does what the writers needed to do,
right?
And
like,
it never does anything interesting.
Force. connects everything. It's the life force of the universe. And in the prequels, they're like, no, it's science data. And you're like, oh, well, that's sad.
Dude.
Takes the fun out of it.
Don't talk about the midichlorians with me again.
I
keep having arguments about them. I keep having arguments. I don't understand the midichlorians. And I'm sure someone in the comments is going to inform me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, they don't bring it up
I
again.
still stand by the fact that I still stand by it's just a plot device to make it so that you can go, hey, here's proof of me saying that this kid is strong with the Force, instead of going, hey, just believe me so that I can buy this kid.
Is that the Force can't be described. It's all faith-based. So Qui-Gon be like, whoa, there's something about this kid. And then you take him back and all the other Jedi are like, yeah, you're right. There is something about this kid. You don't need to have it measured.
I don't love the religious aspect of the Jedi Order. That's not really my favorite thing. I think I got really tired of them sitting around and talking all the time. They suck.
And doing nothing.
All of them suck. They're literally just bitching about nothing. Mace Windu, I thought Mace Windu was a badass. He's so fucking lame.
He doesn't do anything.
Sorry, excuse my language. He's so flippin' lame. Dylan, edit that.
We're far past the minute mark. It doesn't matter.
It's just they don't do anything. The Jedis are so boring. I thought Jedis were so badass, overpowered, like that's what they're supposed to be. And in these things, they're like, an army of Jedi can be killed by mindless robots that suck, that are
it's an
fodder.
Outnumbered thing, Hassan. If you have 50 bullets coming towards you and you can only block some of them,
if you have the Force to go boom and then the bullets fly elsewhere, I see them do it all the time in this stuff. None of them use the Force in that fight. That's what makes me feel weird. That they all use their lightsabers, but none of them are using the Force. I don't see anybody being
there's
some of them do Force pushes, but the Force. So the thing with the Force, and this is something that I could be wrong, but this is kind of my interpretation, is the way that the Jedis use it is not in more of a forceful way, as the Sith, until they reach higher levels like Yoda. That's why a lot of the time all they can do is they can push things. But that's why, Sith are able to choke, because they don't have to hold back. They are not holding back, and I feel like a lot of the time that the Jedi would go to the dark side would be... There's kind of that moment of, no, I'm powerful enough that I can do this. I can force people to do this. I can stop this. Whereas the Jedi are a lot more, no, you have to have patience and control, which somewhat stifles their abilities.
Okay, that makes sense.
And that's why, a lot of the time, when you see, the Force being used in crazy forms, it's always Sith. Because, even Yoda, he stops things, he can lift big things, but, in the fight against Dooku, he's not counteracting the lightning, he's absorbing it. He's not doing anything on the offense. Everything he's doing is on the defense. And that swap to the dark side and being more in that side of the Force is the people that go, no, I can just do this, and just kind of do it regardless of if they're going to hurt someone. They don't have to control if they're going to push someone back and accidentally smash them into the wall and crack their skull open. Because the Sith are like, I don't care, I'm getting you out of the way. Whereas the Jedi are much more, no, you want to make sure you're controlled enough that you can use the proper amount of Force without going overboard. And I think that's kind of one of the big things with Anakin, is he goes through the path of, no, why am I holding back? I can make things the way that they need to be.
Yeah.
Why should I not do that?
Dude, I love when he kills those people in the movie. It's awesome. That's my favorite part. I was not. He's like, I killed the women and the children. I don't care. I've never thought once of a Tusken Raider with a child.
Book of Boba Fett, then you will care.
No, I do need to watch that, but I won't care.
You see what I'm saying, though? In regards to the Jedi getting killed by getting shot a bunch, they're not a police force. If you think about it, they have not fought in these wars against such a massive amount of
it's implied that they're
droids.
Trained,
Plus, we had the guys come out that had freaking machine guns on their arms. There were some, and then we've also seen previously that I want to say they're the destroyers. literally 2 of them gave 2 Jedi a hard time.
Those are specifically designed to counteract Jedi. That's why they have shields and shit.
Well, they have the shields, but they I'm pretty sure the machine gun arm people are basically the full offense version, because they did learn they can only deflect so much. I mean, it's just like in Fortnite. You can only deflect so much before you just start getting shot.
Why does nobody throw their lightsaber in this?
Because I think that's another Sith one. I don't know the
this is the
Jedi,
problem. This is what I was thinking the whole time
boomerang.
you were explaining this. Is like the problem with like the dark side and the light side of the Force stuff. Like, this is stuff that's been toyed with a lot in expanded universe. That's dead now. But they don't really, like, the dark side gets all the flashy stuff, and it leaves nothing for the light side, so they don't talk about it, which is why.
Dude,
like,
I want to be a bad guy so bad. If I was in Star Wars,
right? Because they get lightning and choking and like
murdering.
That's why
stuff.
they eventually get
to have sex.
the gray ones, though. That's why the gray
Right.
Jedi are there, because it's basically we're using the dark side of the Force, but we
can be
still
cool,
believe
too.
in the light side. So we're kind of in that middle ground because we're utilizing both sides. Because technically, Qui-Gon Jinn is a gray Jedi, I believe.
That's like expanded.
Because I mean,
universe
he's
stuff,
technically
but
the apprentice of Dooku, after all. So it's like, obviously he was raised by a Sith Lord.
Yeah.
eventually,
You know what would have been
yeah.
awesome? That scene where Obi-Wan's like looking down at all the people, all the bad guys having the bad guy meeting. Shiro throws it down in that thing, uses the Force, spins it around, and cuts everybody's head off. Save us a lot of grief, you know?
That sounds great.
But a Jedi cannot kill. They must let other people be killed. Then we can use defense and maybe win. That's...
Jedi are just a bunch of Batmans.
I think I'm lame. I think I like superheroes, and like in my brain they have powers, so they should be superheroes, but they're not. They're just like guys who exist and follow they're just like Christians on missionary trips, man. Like, they don't really do much to help rebuild these towns, but they're certainly trying occasionally.
They just don't like the problem is in the original we're kind of way off base now, but the in the original trilogy, we'll wrap up this conversation about the Force. In the original trilogy, the Force is a plot device that is purposefully obfuscated from being explained. And this is a problem that Star Wars has a lot to this day, where something in the original trilogy or something from, the source material is picked apart and expanded upon in ways that probably it wasn't initially intended to be. So, like, for example, Palpatine in the original trilogy is the one person who uses Force lightning. And then it's like, oh, well, that now in the prequels, that's just a thing. That's a dark side of the Force ability. That's not a Palpatine or Darth Sidious Emperor ability. That's a dark side ability. And it's the same with, like, the light side, where it's like, Invader was choking. Like, they all had their own things. But with the light side, they don't really get that, because that's not talked about, because it's not expanded upon. And because of that, you run into problems where it's like, Hussin wants to see them do flips and do push people, and like, yeah, they should, because the dark side is doing that, but they just have lightsabers because nobody wanted to like expand upon that for some reason. And I think it's just because, going back to what I was saying about Palpatine, nobody really in the original trilogy has like a light side Force ability aside from like the mind trick, that is like, oh, that's a thing that we can use and expand upon. And I guess George Lucas didn't want to bother with like making like interesting Force abilities like the Night Sisters would be in like the Clone Wars and stuff.
That's because they didn't have the proper ways to make it look good.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, it's hard enough
George
to make
Lucas
the
didn't know
lightning
that.
look
He
good.
didn't care.
Like,
It's like, do whatever. Well, do it all. Put
so
Yoda
like
in there.
overall, I genuinely appreciate this conversation to learn more about the Force and then hear it from two different perspectives. Because like as a newer viewer, I've always felt like Star Wars is a franchise with infinite potential that does just about nothing with it. But I'm seeing now that there are like, I guess, some set rules that are, they're stupid that they exist, but they do exist. So we have to respect that. Respect that they exist.
The problem is that there were so many rules before Disney bought Star Wars and then eliminated 95% of those rules. So like most of the stuff that we talk about in like, this is how the Force works, this is how the Jedi work, this is the history, blah, 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 is all gone now. And all we really have for that is the Clone Wars.
Yeah. I will say that a lot of mine, Like I know a lot of people come from like the movies, the shows, and stuff like that.
Actual
a lot of
facts.
mine stem from the video games, actually. Like,
Yeah,
Knights of the Old
games too.
Republic. Like that's why I lean into the whole like lightning and stuff is the dark side, because they are different like branches of skills. Like
But
you
that's
have to
also
be on
not
the dark
canon
side
anymore,
to learn these things. Exactly.
Which
It's
is
not
the problem.
necessarily canon, but that's kind of where I'm coming from with a
Yeah.
lot of my
That's-
opinions and
Star
stuff.
Wars
so they
has
are
to do
opinions.
a multiverse movie, and then we can have everything in
No.
canon again.
No.
Yeah.
Don't suggest
Star
that.
Wars and the multiverse
Don't.
of madness.
Suggest
No.
that.
Why? What's
There were
the beef
already
there?
30
Then you could-
Palpatines in one universe. I don't need more than
We-
that.
Look, man. Then you can bring Darth Vader back in the
No.
current movies. You
No.
could- Hey,
No.
you guys.
Okay.
You know, you can,
Let's
We're wrapping up.
let's finish
We're-
up this
we're- we're-
episode.
we're-
stressed out.
We're going off
Oh
the
my
rails
God.
here.
Oh,
Next week,
man.
we're going to be talking about the little talked about, little watched Star Wars The Clone Wars movie from 2008. It's the animated one, the movie that starts that show.
Okay.
So if you're watching along at home, find that one somewhere, probably on Disney+. Other than that, this has been Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, with me, Dylan, Hassan, and Dan. Catch y'all next time talking about the Clone Wars, and then Revenge of the Sith, and then that's it. See y'all later.